Hi everybody, and welcome to the next installment of Beerploma LLC's Brewery Tour series of podcasts. We're here at the Herkimer Brew Pub, and we're about to take you on a real exciting tour of their brewery. We're going to meet Matt and Rachel, who are two of their brewers, and they're going to talk to us all about the beers that they make. So enjoy, grab a beer, sit down, and join with us. Prost! Okay, so here we are inside the Herkimer, and here I am with Matt, one of the brewers at the Herkimer. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of the brewery?
All right, well, we're a brewery that's in uptown Minneapolis. We opened in about 1999 when a lot of the brew pubs opened in Minneapolis, so we're one of the first. And we primarily started focusing on German lager brewing. But since that time, we've kind of broadened our horizons a little bit. Now we just kind of cover the entire spectrum. So okay, that's kind of us in a nutshell.
How long have you been working here?
Just starting my fourth year. So.
Okay, well, that's...
I kind of started from the bottom. I started as an intern, then an assistant, then the utility man, because I also grew at Norway down the street.
Okay.
And then now, just kind of doing it all here.
Okay, so why don't you tell us where we're at right now? We're actually just on the other side of the actual pub here. So.
Yeah, we're on the main floor, just right, 10 feet away from the bar. This is the brew house, as well as where all of our fermentation tanks are located. So this is basically where a lot of the work happens. This is primarily all of it. So.
How many times do you guys brew a week?
We try to aim for about 3, but lately we've been averaging about 2 brews a week. So.
Okay. How long does it take you guys to brew a batch of beer?
Well, it depends on the beer that we're brewing for the day. If we're doing like an English pale ale, where it's just a step infusion mash, it's going to be a substantially shorter beer than, say, our alt beer, which will have 3 decoctions in it. So on average, we'll start about 6 in the morning, and the brew will wrap up at about 3 or 4.
Now, you just used the word decoction there. So I know a lot of our viewers back at home might not necessarily know what decoction mashing is. It's not something that's used in a lot of breweries here. So can you explain to us in layman's terms what decoction mashing is, and then go over the advantages of it and why you guys choose to use that style?
All right, well, that is one of the things that makes our brewery unique in the fact that we have what's called a heated mash kettle. It has a steam jacket, and what we're able to do with that is when somebody's doing a step infusion mash is where they raise the mash to a certain temperature to get certain chemical reactions to take place. What we do is we just pull off a tiny little bit and send the rest of it into our lauter tun and just boil it. So when the boiling little bit of mash combines with the residual leftover, it meets together to rise to that target temperature that you're going for. And when you do that, you get what's called Maillard chemistry, or caramelization of the malts, or it gives a really pronounced malt characteristic that you wouldn't otherwise be able to attain without it. So by doing decoction mashes, you get really nice color, really nice malt profiles that are pretty unique too. And it's really great for German styles, which is why we still.
So now when you were training to be a brewer, was decoction mashing even in the forefront of your mind when you started?
Yeah, that was something that I didn't learn until I started brewing here. So.
Okay. Did you start out as a home brewer?
No, I actually started out as a sake brewer down the street. So,
okay.
And then an opportunity presented itself as we only brew in the winter over there. And then I came over here and basically started from the bottom as well here. So yeah, everything I've learned on this system. So.
Do you home brew now?
I do now, which is I'm probably one of the few people that started professionally and then turned to a home brewer.
That's a rarity in itself. So why don't we take a peek at some of your guys' equipment here, and if you just want to do a quick run through of what we got standing around us. And
so yeah, absolutely. If you want to focus on this is the control panel that makes everything happen, and like we used to focus on German styles. You can see our control panel is in German. Yeah, this is what all the moving back and forth for the decoctions is all happening here. The steam, the fans, the drains, the motor, the pumps, all that is controlled by right here. So it's actually really easy. I mean, once you get the hang of it, because there's just arrows and lines that tell you exactly what's happening. So that's basically it. So this is our mash kettle. We mash in here. Hit our certain temperatures depending if there's a decoction or not. It'll all stay in here. If there is, we'll pull it over, boil it, and send it over. And just like a typical brew from that point on, then we'll just lauter it back into our mash kettle, boil it, and then send it over to the bowl. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Then this one's the whirlpool?
Yeah, that's the whirlpool. And sometimes now that we've brought our horizons, we do hops in the whirlpool, or else sometimes we've gotten a little bit more adventurous. We've done wet hops. back into our lauter tun and re-strained it through and then sent it back one more time. And we did a double fills and it was like that. It turned out it was
Really
fantastic.
good.
Yeah, it was really good.
How do you guys choose the beers that you're going to make?
A lot of it depends on the malts that we want to use. You know, if we're using a lot of like primarily wireman malts, you know, those are highly unmodified malts. So if they are those that we decide to use, then we'll absolutely throw in 1, 2, and sometimes 3 concoctions to really get a lot of those conversions that happen. But if we're making like an English or like an IPA or an English Pale Ale, those are highly modified malts, so they don't really require as much temperature conversions to take place. So that's the main
factor?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, and here I am with Rachel, one of the other brewers down at the Herkimer. Now, Rachel, I have to ask, I don't run into too many female brewers. How did you get into brewing?
I started as a home brewer.
Okay.
Well, I started going to just a couple of beer festivals and then transferring into home brewing, and through a weird chain of events ended up running a women's group called Brown's Angels.
Oh, sure, I know them.
So started heading that up, and then with the committee, we had an event over at Mono Y, and started talking to Blake, and a few interviews later,
Here you are.
rolled right in.
So what's your favorite style of beer?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a terrible question.
It's like picking your favorite child, you know.
I would say my go-to is probably a porter or a stout.
Porter or stout? Now, in your home brewing endeavors, what is the weirdest brew you have ever concocted?
That might be a secret because it might go full scale eventually.
We'll let that part out. Keep it rolling.
I would say, well, we did a lavender Kolsch Firkin, which was pretty
Okay.
unique.
That is very unique. So, okay, so tell us where we're at.
We are in the cellar, so this is where all of the aging happens. This is where all of the transferring, the finishing of carbonation. So this is where the beer becomes the final product that you see, and this is where we clean everything over and over and
Over and over and over
and
again.
over, and then we do it again.
Sounds good. Okay. And what do we have in the vats today?
Well, these are our secondary fermentation, basically. So we've got our Tueler's Weiss that's going to be coming on soon. We've got a Kolsch. It is Packer season, so we go through a lot of that. We've got a California Common that's going to be
One of my favorite styles.
going to be going on tap on Friday.
Okay.
And then behind us, we actually transfer right into serving tanks. And we don't keg our beer unless we're going to an outside location.
Okay.
We serve it right from the tanks, so less handling, all that, less chance for infection. But yeah, we have our tap lines hooked straight up, so it goes right through the floor and right into your glass.
Now, I know you brought that. You guys bring it straight to the tap line there. I noticed you guys don't sell growlers. Is there a reasoning behind that?
There is, since we do have 2 locations, we have to be a little careful. We're the same company with liquor laws, off sale. So we don't have the liquor license at this establishment at the current moment for
Gotcha.
growler sales.
Okay.
That could change eventually. We would like it to change eventually, but right now, there's only so many layers of red tape you can make it through on your own.
Sounds good. Okay, if you had to pick up and move locations, what would you like to keep about the current brewery?
I would keep the decoction ability, so we can do step infusion and decoction. That's definitely one thing we would definitely keep.
Did you just find that you get more precise beers with that method, or?
We have the freedom to pretty much do whatever we want. Being a brew pub, we don't have restrictions on packaging, on licensing, that kind of thing. We have the creativity and the ability to just be spontaneous and have fun and just do whatever.
Okay, anything else?
I like our setup quite a bit, to be honest.
If you had to add one thing to the setup, what would it be?
Tank space.
Tank space?
I think that's, any brewer would agree. There's always
Room for tank space.
always the need, yeah.
Okay.
We'd like to be able to do a lot more high gravity beers, a lot more lagers all at once, but we don't have the tank space to let them age properly, and we don't want to.
What's your current capacity right now?
Right now we're about 1,000 barrels.
1,000 barrels?
Our ability would be 12,000 or 1,200 for a year.
Now, each batch of beer you do, how big is the batch?
10 barrel.
10 barrel?
Well, give or take, depending on the style.
Yeah. So we're gonna have Andy come a little closer, and then I'm gonna have you actually read off the audience questions, so we can at least get your voice on record.
Okay, so Matthias W. asks, I heard that the Herkimer guys went over to Germany to learn about German brewing traditions. Where exactly did they study?
I know the brewer they're probably referring to was a man named Gustavo. He's actually been gone now for about 4 years, but I know he did study at Doman's in Germany, so that would be probably what they're referring to.
Did he have anything to do with training you guys in at all? Did you guys
No, I was interning at Moto Eye right when he left, and he actually moved to Brazil.
Is Moto Eye the sister brewery to here, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The owner, Blake Richardson, he started the Herkimer, and then about 10 years later opened up Moto. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see. Does the Herkimer plan to make their beer available for purchase locally?
Well, that's referring to a lot of these liquor laws. I know tap rooms and breweries in that sense, they can do that but brew pubs, it's illegal right now for us to distribute anywhere but our location.
Have you guys been working with the Minnesota beer activists at all, or talked to them at all about anything about that stuff? Or?
I've talked with Andrew Schmidt quite a bit.
Yep, we know Andrew.
Good friend of mine. So there's some things that can be done, but a lot of it is getting the mass population to really understand what these laws are and what they mean for each individual brewery and pub.
Okay. I know this kind of relates to that question is I was at the state fair and at the craft beer booth, no representation whatsoever from any brew pub. I mean, no Fitters, no Marley John's, no Herkimer. How do you guys feel about that? How does that make you guys feel? Do you guys wish you guys had representation there?
Well, I want it. Yeah, we'd love to be at all these events, but yeah, to do a lot of them, we have to just donate massive amounts of beer over the course of the year.
Yeah.
And, like I said, we are already chomping at the bit for tank space, so we want to keep as much as we can here, but yeah, we'd love to do all those events in the year.
Good.
All right, Jason Henn asks, how do you name your beers?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them have been, a lot of thought process went into them. Some of them have been decided in 10 seconds. We have this American style wheat beer that we serve on Nitro that we ended up calling the Jeffrey, just for no reason. There's no thought process behind it at all.
Well, we do have a pretty good regular Jeffrey,
Yeah, that's kind of where it
we
is.
kind of.
But some of them, like the Lutz is named after one of the owners' favorite bars in Seattle. The Waggle Water is named after a neighborhood in Belgium, actually called Waggle Water, and it's a Belgian pale ale.
Slush boxes.
Slush box is a slang term for an automatic transmission.
Yeah,
we're kind of all over the grid when it comes to naming things. So I think that's going hand in hand with our trying not to distance ourselves from just the traditional German style lagers, but just kind of just having this, that, and the other.
Are you guys seeing that the push for pale ales out there has really influenced what you guys decide to brew?
That was one of the chief requests that we had at this establishment for the longest time. Like, what's your IPA? What's your hops? And we have, and if you know anything about traditional German styles, there's really not a lot there.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was definitely a big relief, probably more for the wait staff to be able to sell them something when somebody asks for something like that. So that's definitely been really nice to have.
But from a creative perspective, do you ever feel that hampers you guys at all? Or being the fact that you have to have an IPA or a pale ale on tap?
We don't have to. We choose to. I mean, I myself and all three of us, we enjoy IPAs. I think we like having them around. And the guest happens to like them too, so we can high five and cheers them and all really enjoy it.
And it's just been a fun ongoing project over the last 6 months. We have been just trying to really nail down an IPA that we all really like to brew and really like the the hop profile of it. Like our traditional IPA that we brew is called the Lutz. And I don't think we brewed it exactly the same twice because we really just want to get it. And it's just been fun to just try different things and experiment with different hops, whole leaf hops, pellet hops, and different colors on the lava on scale. And I think the next one that we have coming out is I think we got it, but it's fun.
sorry, sidetracked.
Okay, the last we got, Ryan O asked, does the Herkimer offer suggestions for food and beer pairings?
On the menu currently, we do not, but there is some recalibration going on to the menu, and I believe that is going to be part of the new menu. Since at first we were brewing stuff just to our liking, zoning in on exactly what we wanted the flavors of, and kind of doing it to the old German menu. And now that we have some beers that we are like, yeah, this is solid, this is what we want, we're starting to maybe twerk the menu a little bit to match the beers.
Do you guys work with the head chef at all, or and when you guys are now brewing your beers? Or?
Yeah, that's the nice thing. Yeah, like this menu was in place when all these beer changes were happening, so the menu hasn't really had a chance to kind of reflect what has been happening. And we just had a new chef start here now. It's, I was kind of crazy, 4 months ago. And so now what we do on Fridays, we do specialty firkins every Friday, and we always try to give a recommended beer pairing with that particular firkin. And also we have a firkin dinner happening in October, so that's really given us a chance to collaborate with the head chef and really kind of work together because it's fun that way.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. You guys have any questions or comments for us at all?
Well, I don't know if you want to do any tastings.
Yeah, do one of the California Common.
Tastings for sure, yeah. Whose idea was it to brew a California Common?
To be honest, I'm going to give that one to our owner, Blake. I think it was just something that, he teaches a beer class for our staff every year because we always get a large amount of seasonal staff, and he always uses the Anchor Steam as his example for like an American beer style, something like that. So I think it's just been on the back of his mind for a really long time.
Smells good?
Oh, that's good.
Ooh, it's there. The flavor's there. Just needs a little bit more carbonation, and I think it would be perfect.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's perfect. I mean,
Yes.
And you said this is going to be available Friday?
Yeah, that's what we're planning on tapping it. So we have to filter it and give it a little bit more CO2, and it should be good to go.
Sounds good. We look forward to seeing this one. So guys, this one will be available by the time this video is out on YouTube. So make sure you guys stop on down to the Herkimer and try some of their California Common. Okay, should we head upstairs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So this is our rye pale ale. This is kind of one of our newest permanent additions. Wow, that's good on that one. But this is brewed with a lot of rye malt and makes up almost a third of the malt body on it. It also has a decoction and a mash procedure. So it's kind of a nice representation of all the things that we can do. It's our new style as well as the flavors as well. It's got a sort of malt and hop so
It's got a nice caramely reddish color to it.
and you should also kind of get those kind of characteristics in the taste from the roasty, caramely, spicy from the rye.
Why a rye here? I know that's kind of a big thing in brewers right now.
It's just, I love it. I think rye is a really nice addition to a lot of beer styles. And we just sat around the table and just throwing out new beer style ideas, and that just sounded good. We decided to go for it. So.
And this one pairs really nice with the macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese is one of the reasons why I come here. In fact, I told my boss's boss the other day, hey, if you're looking for good adult mac and cheese, this is it. So this is our oatmeal stout, pushed on nitrogen. As you can see, it'll give you that nice cascading head. This one is kind of an English style, so there are no decoctions present. So you get a really nice thin malt body, so it's not going to be super heavy that a lot of people assume dark styles are. So it's really smooth and easy drinking, but you also get really nice sweetness from the residual sugars from the oatmeal, and kind of a little bit of roasting from the dark malt. So it's really nice, really one of my favorites.
How can you say nitrogen?
Oh, that's delicious. Why nitrogen?
Everyone's used to a stout coming on nitrogen pretty much since Guinness kind of hit the mainstream. So on that, I just like easy one. It's just part of the transformation we were doing about a year ago. We're like, you know what, let's get to nitrogen and see what happens. And I think it's been a welcome addition to our repertoire.
You guys aren't getting any of this. Sorry, this one's mine.
And we don't just do dark beers and stouts on nitrogen. We have American style wheat beer that we push on nitrogen that we call our Jeffrey. That's definitely been one of the more popular styles that we've had. People, it doesn't last as long as it's already. So.
I'm noticing a very clean flavor among the two beers. That even with the stout and the darker rye, I'm noticing it's. I don't know quite the right word for it, but it's an extremely clean, pure taste. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
Thank you.
yeah, I'll take it. It sounds good. I mean, I think that just goes to show you that good brewing processes taking good care of our beers. So usually, if you have any kind of unpleasant aftertaste, that's what they do.
Well, it's not so much that I get an unpleasant aftertaste from other beers. It's just more of the earth. It's more earthy, more a heavier mouthfeel to it. But it's just they're clean. I don't know what the right word is for it. Andy, what's a good word for clean?
Clean.
I mean, that's a great word. I think I'll take that as a compliment. That's one of the things we focus on so much is just the proper handling of our beers. You know, once they hit the fermenters, they really don't see the light of day. They're only moving with CO2 and filtered, properly carbonated. I think that manages a lot of it.
Yeah, let's do this. So this is our German oat. So it's a traditional German oat. It is a terminal concoction. So this is our really long rooted. But after you taste it, I would agree that it is worth your time to do such.
Now, is this done in the Stickum style or the Dortmunder style?
We use the northern old style. That's why
That'd be the Dortmunder.
Okay. Because we have the A57N. So that's the old, and then we have the A57S, which is our Kolsch. And so
that's the name of the highway that kind of separates the two provinces. So that's kind of where that comes from.
That's very different from the other alts I've had here in Minnesota, but it's very reminiscent of the alts that I've had in Germany.
that's what we're going for.
So I mean, I had Diebels the last trip I was there, and you guys are pretty much right on the line with Diebels. I think they had a little bit more of a hot presence to it, but I like it this way.
We've definitely been trying to stay around styles. For a couple of our styles that are traditional, we want to be within what the traditional parameters are so that we can focus on this is the traditional beer and this is how we do it. We want to do it what we want to represent what it's supposed to be.
And that's obviously the one that we try to showcase the decoction method as strong as we can. Because that one has 3, which, you know, according to old German brewing methods, 3 was kind of the standard. So that's where we just try to let the malt shine, which is kind of why we decided to pull a lot of the hops back and maybe even a little bit of the alcohol back. So really what you're getting is just those nice caramelized malt characteristics, which is really good.
I don't know, man. This is one of your faves.
This is one of my faves. It's just a session pale ale, so it's brewed with a lot of really just light Meershager malts, but it has a very big, elaborate hop profile of the West Coast style, and like a lot of citrus characteristic hops, like Cascade, Legacy, that kind of stuff. It really turned out nice. And, yeah, this was another style that, you know, it just sounded good, and we decided let's go for it. We've had it, this is the 3rd time we brewed it. Second time, so. Yeah, it's easy to drink. It's just a hair under 5% alcohol.
Yeah, it's extremely easy drinking. It's not the Cascade hops is present. There's a little bit of an orange taste to the Cascade, or to the Cascade grapefruit bitterness to it. So, is there anything you did extra to achieve that, or is that just the types of hops?
Other than water treatment, no. I mean, we have a little gypsum to the mash, and that has a tendency to accentuate hop characteristics. But no, yeah, it's just a ton of hops.
Has a good breading, good bready aftertaste to it too. So, I mean, you're getting the full characteristics of the beer out of the beer there.
It's a very simple recipe, very complex hop recipe. It's kind of the opposite of the alt.
Yes, yep, exactly.
the A57S, so it's the counterpart to the malt that we were just talking about. This one's a pretty simple German Pilsner malt, a little bit of wheat thrown in there. It does have a depression, and so you get that change of the malt, you get that chemical reaction, so you get a more complex flavor. A good Kolsch should be crisp, finished kind of dry, nice and clear, nice light color.
A little bit of fruitiness to it.
Yes, and that's with the yeast character.
They say a sign of a good Kolsch is one you can finish in one gulp. Ever since you
Well, then we got to refill for these guys here too. I don't know if you can hang.
Alright, I like it.
That's challenging. I'm sorry, you can't do that. I am a man. I mean, that's.
This is a bar.
Yeah.
And there would have been video proof.
Well, I don't know if I got it exactly in one gulp. I did get a lot of carbonation at first back there. But... well, guys, that concludes our tour of the Herkimer Pub. I'd like to thank Matt and Rachel for giving us the tour, and thanks for having us. Prost.